After 10 years of service, they fired the black maid. What S revealed will change your heart. Clara Johnson had poured her life into the Dunbar family. From dawn's first light to dusk's embrace, she was a fixture in the household, her laughter blending with the children's. 10 long years spent nurturing, cooking, and cleaning, each moment stitching her heart deeper into the fabric of their lives. But all that brightness came crashing down one sunny afternoon, when her phone chimed with a message she never saw coming. "We no longer require your services." Just like that, Clara's world tilted off its axis. Her heart sank. The air thick with betrayal, her chest tightening as if a weight had set down inside her. The Dunbars were more than just an employer, they were a second family, weren't they? She bandaged scraped knees, wiped away tears, celebrated birthdays. In her mind, they were tied. Or so she believed. Clara's eyes brimmed with tears, caught in the web of uncertainty and pain. All those dreams she cradled for her daughter's future seemed to shatter with the click of a button. Clara, are you okay?" A familiar voice jolted her back. Mary from 2 doors down, always looking out for her neighbors. As Clara took a shaky breath, the events cascaded through her mind, the laughter around the cookie-strewn kitchen and the morning chaos that always felt like love. But amidst that musty aroma of betrayal, Clara's spirit struggled. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Clara began to notice the seams of the Dunbars unraveling. The pristine suburban home was not as perfect as it seemed. The kids were distracted, coiled spring-like with tension. Mr. Dunbar's stress was palpable, and Mrs. Dunbar shifted in her designer chair, avoiding her gaze. Beneath their polished exterior trailed whispers of expectations and subtle biases she'd never wanted to see. Am I just the help? The echo of that question clung to her, an unseen shadow haunting her every thought. Yet, Clara was not alone. With her neighbors, fellow veterans, spirited volunteers, the wise old church lady, they became an army of resilience against the deepening prejudice. In the community center, they shared their stories, their struggles pouring out like a river of pain. Voices rose together, igniting fierce determination. The town hall loomed ahead, a chance to air the injustices that Clara and others faced. The Dunbars were set to attend, and the thought made her heart race. Clara swallowed hard, knowing that this was her moment to confront the biases she'd felt all along. The crowd would listen, and as Clara stood before them, she promised herself she would expose the truth about her relationship with the Dunbars, but before she could speak, a heaviness gripped her. Her own expectations began to swirl around her, demanding to be addressed. Would this lead to redemption, or deeper divides? Clara's voice trembled, filling the room with raw urgency. The sighs and whispers only fueled her fire. As hearts in the audience hung on her every word, Clara prepared to reshuffle the very ground beneath her, searching for her voice amidst the fracturing perceptions of worth that lay before her. This was only the beginning, and the crowd felt it watching, waiting. How would the world shift when Clara finally dug deep and revealed her truth? The fragile threads of perception would soon be tested, and everyone hungered to witness the fall or rise of courage that was just about to unfold. Clara stood at the podium, her heart thundering in her chest. The bright lights above cast shadows in the hall, blurring the faces of those who had come to watch. She could see the Dunbars in the back, their expressions tight, their tension palpable. With each breath, she drew courage from the voices that had come before her: neighbors, friends, warriors against injustice. Thank you all for being here today, Clara began, her voice hesitant but steady. I stand before you not just as Clara Johnson, but as a mother, a neighbor, and a friend. She paused, feeling the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. She could hear whispers in the crowd: curiosity, skepticism, and the unmistakable hum of empathy. For each warm smile in the audience, she felt an equal amount of indifference. 10 years of my life devoted to the Dunbar family. Clara swallowed hard. A decade wrapped in laughter, tears, and shared memories. But when my daughter needed me when I needed them, they decided I was no longer worth keeping. A cloud of murmurs rippled through the crowd. She noticed eyes widen, some glancing at the Dunbars with a newfound gaze. The truth is, she continued, emboldened by the shift, I was never just the help. I was their caretaker, their confidant, the one who cleaned their home and cared for their children as if they were my own. Clara caught Mrs. Dunbar's gaze, hoping to convey years of unseen labor, arguments settled, naps soothed, and laughter shared over board games. But did they ever see me? She pressed on, infusing her words with emotion. Did they ever look past the surface to know the person that I am, or was I always just the woman who cleaned up after them? With each statement, Clara's voice grew stronger, turning from mere recounting into a powerful declaration of identity. She spoke of the prejudice that lurked beneath the smiles, how their casual assumptions chipped away at her dignity, the boundaries that seemed invisible until they were crossed. I love that family, she said, her throat tightening. But love shouldn't come with conditions, shouldn't come with a price tag, or be dependent on a contract. We build lives together, we share burdens and dreams. But when it came down to it, I was disposable. Tears streaking down her face, Clara glanced at the crowd, and she saw nods of agreement, a ripple of understanding. The silent connections formed around their mutual stories allowed hope to illuminate the darkness lingering in the air. As she finished, applause erupted. It was hesitant at first, but then built, filling the hall, wrapping her in a comforting embrace. She stepped back, heart racing, waiting for the echoes of her words to settle. But before she could calm her racing thoughts, she caught a glimpse of Mr. Dunbar rising from his seat, his expression torn and conflicted. Clara, he started, voice trembling, that's not how things are. The audience fell silent, every eye turning toward him, breaths held. Clara could feel the tension rise again. What would he say? Would he defend her or further break her heart? In that charged moment, the world seemed to hang on the edge of a knife. The truth was still unfolding, and Clara knew she was about to find out if this moment could redeem or fracture more than just her relationship with the Dunbar family. What would Mr. Dunbar reveal? Would he step into the light, or retreat into the shadows? Mr. Dunbar cleared his throat, the sound echoing in the charged silence of the room. Clara, he hesitated, glancing down at his shaking hands, and a wave of uncertainty washed over him. I never wanted you to feel this way. It's complicated. Clara's heart sank. Complicated. That was the word they always used, wasn't it? It was how they justified their decisions, how they managed to walk away without stepping into the mess of their impacts. Anger surged through her, but she fought to keep her composure. Complicated? She echoed, incredulity sharpening her tone. How is it complicated not to see me shoulder to shoulder with you? For 10 years, I poured my heart into that home. I sacrificed for your family. Her voice reverberated in the hall, fueled by emotion. I was never just a maid, Donald. The crowd stirred, murmurs threading through the rows of seats. The Dunbars' tension hung heavier than ever, a spotlight on their family's fracture. Mrs. Dunbar's face paled, a curtain of regret darkening her features. Clara, Mr. Dunbar began again, his eyes finally meeting hers. You have to understand, we didn't mean to hurt you. We were overwhelmed. Overwhelmed? Clara felt a laugh bubbling up to break the damning silence, but the sound caught in her throat. It only started to break the crumbling control she held over her emotions. She took a breath, hoping to find some calm, but the anger flickered. You were overwhelmed by your careers, your lifestyle, and I was the background noise in your perfect picture. I helped build that image, but you never noticed the edges fraying. Around the room, heads nodded in solidarity. The collective feeling simmered like a pot ready to boil over. Clara felt the weight of every heart in that hall pushing her to push harder. "Clara!" shouted a voice behind her. It was Ava, her daughter, stepping forward. "You're not disposable. You're amazing." Tears streamed down her young cheeks, urging for her mother to stand firm. The room responded to Ava's cry, hearts breaking and swelling within moments. Dunbar faltered slightly as he glanced at the little girl. "Ava, listen, no. You listen." She cut him off, her small frame trembling with conviction. "You don't get to make this about you. You need to say the truth. What you did to my mom was horrible." The air crackled with a mixture of pride and sadness. Clara's heart swelled, but it was only a moment before her confidence wavered once more. "Mr. Dunbar, will you finally admit how you've treated us? Will you let the world know that your wealth never bought kindness?" His expression shifted, confusion giving way to something deeper. For a moment, Clara thought she saw a flicker of understanding. "You're right, Clara. I'm sorry I've been blind." But then, as soon as it came, the flicker was gone, replaced by a rush of self-preservation. "We've done our best to help you, but it's not like problems go on without a check," Clara demanded, her patience nearing its end. "It's not a transaction. It's life." Everyone in the audience leaned in, feeding off her energy, their breaths synchronized with her heartbeat. The tension was palpable. What was this turning point really leading to? Mr. Dunbar looked torn. Instead of backing down, he took a step towards the podium. Sweat beaded on his forehead, and the uncertain flicker of truth lingered in his eyes. "I'll take responsibility. But please, let us figure this out together." Clara could feel the promise hanging in the air, the fragile threads of hope intermingling with fear. Would he truly reflect on everything they had built? Or was this just more empty words masking an unwillingness to change? As the crowd watched, Clara's heart hammered in her chest. She could not shake the haunting feeling that perhaps this was just the beginning of a much tougher battle. What would it mean to confront the past? Would they find common ground, or was there an even darker truth lingering beneath? A heavy silence settled over the crowd as Clara stood, trying to wade through the turmoil swirling inside her. Emotional walls had crumbled all around her, yet the fear of what lay ahead loomed like a dark cloud. She turned slightly, catching Ava's tear-streaked face, a mirror of her own inner chaos. "Together," Clara repeated, her voice steady despite its quiver. "What does that even mean, Donald? Together sounds lovely, but we don't have the same foundation. You're telling everyone you'll take responsibility, yet it feels like just another promise woven in with the lies." Donald's brow furrowed, the word striking something deeper than he anticipated. "Clara, this isn't easy for me. Hard decisions were made." "Easy?" The indignation erupted before she could stop it. "It was easy for you to ignore my late nights, my struggles, my laughter turning to sorrow. It was easy to keep a distance when you saw me as just someone who cleaned your floors. You don't get to change that narrative now." Around her, murmurs spread like ripples in water. Clara caught glimpses of familiar faces, her friends and neighbors, all of whom had stories to share, akin to her plight. "Seems like it's more than just about you and your family." A voice from the back flickered through the air, filled with emotion. It was Miss Thompson, the librarian, speaking up. "This is no mere apology, Mr. Dunbar. It's about the too many lives you've blinded along the way. Clara represents a decade of sacrifice, but she's not alone. There are countless stories waiting to be heard." A palpable energy coursed through the audience. Each share echoed a thread of unity, crafting an intricate web of voices that had long been silenced. Clara felt invigorated. This wasn't solely about her anymore. It was much bigger than Mr. Dunbar straightened, his confidence wavering. "Listen, I'll stop," Clara interrupted, raising a hand. You cannot just fill the air with promises anymore. You need to own the past, it's the only way we can move forward. From behind Clara, Ava stepped closer, emboldened like a tiny warrior. You didn't just fire my mom. You didn't just take away her job. You took away our family, too. We were part of your lives. The timing was uncanny. Her young voice filled with truth hung heavily, wrapping itself around Clara's heart. They had built a home together, and now, it felt like they were extricating themselves from a nightmare. Family matters, Donald. You can hire anyone to dust your antiques, but never again will you replace the love and care she put into every inch of this place. Donald's face paled, caught in the storm of conscious reflection. Clara could see the gears turning, wrestling with something profound. Perhaps he was beginning to grasp the impact, the unseen fractures of their entangled lives, yet, uncertainty loomed like a fog, cloaking their next steps. What would come from this confrontation? Would he seek redemption, or would this moment dissolve into his own regrets? If we're going to mend these wounds, she managed, you need to approach our lives with the truth. Can you accept that? The room fell into a stillness that was almost unbearable. All eyes were locked on Donald, anticipation hanging thick as honey. A moment passed, then another. Clara's heart raced, hope clashing with skepticism. Would he finally reveal the depth of his understanding, or would he retreat back into his world of convenience? Donald hesitated, grappling with the weight of realization. I can't promise this will be easy. But I can promise I'll try to see it from your perspective. Try. Clara clenched her fists, desperately wanting to believe in change, but uncertainty still gripped her. As she prepared to respond, a familiar voice resounded from the corner of the room. Clara turned, her heart pounding as she faced the unexpected arrival of a figure from her past, someone she thought was long gone. Are you really prepared to confront your history, Clara? The voice asked, laden with both challenge and familiarity. Clara's breath caught. What had she just walked into? What other truths would unravel with this unexpected twist? Clara's heart raced as she locked eyes with the figure emerging from the shadows. It was Olivia, her childhood friend turned estranged ghost. Clara hadn't seen her in years, and the memories rushed back like a river breaking through a dam. Olivia? Clara's voice trembled. What are you doing here? The crowd's murmurs faded into a low hum, their attention shifting to this unexpected exchange. Clara's emotions ricocheted between surprise and dread. Would Olivia's presence bolster her voice or shatter the fragile momentum she had built? Clara, you need to confront this, Olivia asserted, her tone unwavering. It's not just about Donald's past, it's about all of us and the futures we've lost along the way. What do you mean? Clara's brow furrowed. She could sense a fire in Olivia's words, but she needed clarity. Remember when we used to talk about our dreams? Olivia continued. How we wanted to change the world. Look around, Clara. We've suffered. And now it's time to reclaim what was taken from us. Clara felt her chest tighten. This moment was bigger than just her plight with Donald Dunbar. It resonated with each struggle, each fight for recognition and dignity. The pain of the years surfaced like smoke, and Clara knew she had to channel it, not just for herself, but for everyone standing with her. Olivia's right, Clara finally said, taking a deep breath. This isn't just my fight. It's a fight for every family that's been pushed aside, every sacrifice made silently. We deserve more than promises. We deserve a future that acknowledges our past. As she spoke, the atmosphere in the room shifted. Clara could feel the unity growing stronger. It was as if all the energy that had been trapped and suffocated was suddenly released. Donald stood frozen, his expression a mixture of confusion and dawning realization. Clara could see it, he was grappling with the consequences of his actions in a way he hadn't before. She yearned for him to claim the burden. Can you finally see the chains? She challenged him. You think you're the only one who gets to decide how this story goes? The crowd erupted with whispered agreement, fists clenched, emotions crackling in the atmosphere like static before a storm. "I get it, the fear, the stakes," Donald murmured, glancing around the room, his voice barely above a whisper. "But how do I fix it? Where do I even start?" Clara felt a pang of sympathy. It was new to see him stripped down to his core, struggling against guilt. But remorse wasn't enough. "You start by listening. You begin by giving us a real seat at the table instead of empty speeches. We write our own narrative." As the crowd erupted into murmurs of support, Clara could see eyes filled with hope, like flickers of light sparking to life. But deep down, a shadow flickered. Was it all too late for Donald to truly change? Suddenly, Olivia stepped forward, breaking the charged energy. "And it's not just about words, Mr. Dunbar. We want actions. Real changes that can mend what has been broken." Her voice rang clear as if cutting through years of silence. "You have the chance to be better. Are you willing to fight alongside us like we fought for you?" Clara's heart nearly stopped. Those were powerful words, questions loaded with hope and the weight of possibility. But would they carry the weight needed to shift someone like Donald? Just then, an elderly man in the back stood up, connecting with Clara's gaze. "You know, some of us have been waiting for much more than an apology," he said, voice quaking with age and conviction. "We've been waiting for respect." Clara's hope intertwined with doubt as she faced both Donald and the room, a collective heartbeat echoing through their shared memories. The stillness settled once more, a suffocating pause as she waited for Donald to respond to the crescendo of emotion surrounding him. "Will you rise to this challenge?" she finally asked, heart in her throat. But before Donald could muster an answer, a loud crash echoed from outside. The sound shattered the tension like glass breaking. A murmur swept through the room, a ripple of uncertainty. Clara's chest tightened, her breath catching in her throat as she turned toward the doors. Her heart raced with anxiety. Was this an attack? A sign? With the crowd momentarily distracted, Clara locked eyes with Olivia, who stood resolute beside her, a ghostly figure striving to lead them. "Stay focused," Olivia urged silently, her expression fierce. She took a step toward the noise, Clara followed, her senses on high alert, feeling every heartbeat in the pit of her stomach. She stepped forward, parting the murmuring crowd, their concern palpable. Just as Clara reached the heavy door, it burst open, revealing a scene that sent the energy in the room spiraling. Through the frame came a group of protesters, faces determined yet weary. Signs raised high, they shouted for justice, demanding a voice echoed in every corner of the community. It was an invasion of raw feelings, a realization of all the hidden struggles suddenly laid bare. Clara's heart soared and sank all at once. "Clara! We heard you!" A woman at the front yelled, her voice slicing through confusion. "You're not alone in this. We all want change." It was like a dam had broken. Outpouring voices merged, spilling lifelong dreams and decades of silence into collective cries for recognition. The crowd inside the hall absorbed their energy, hearts sinking in a pulsating rhythm of solidarity. Donald stepped back, taking in the wave of humanity crashing against his carefully curated narrative. Clara could see the realization hitting him, the fear showing in his eyes, not as a predator but as a man surrounded by ghosts of decisions past. "Listen. Please." Clara shouted, though she wasn't sure whom she was addressing. "This is about us, our future. We can't just turn away." A teenager in the back began to chant, echoing Clara's fervor. "What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now." The words ignited the room. Clara felt the humans around her spark with energy, their voices lifting, building a choir of shared hope. It crashed against her heart like waves against a rocky shore. "Donald, they're here for you too," she yelled, trying to catch his attention as the words spilled out. "This isn't just a fight for us. It's for you to change." To be better. You wanted to help. Now's your chance. But instead of stepping up, Donald staggered slightly, uncertainty etched on his face. But he started, eyes darting, searching for an escape. But Olivia wouldn't let this moment slip away again. She stepped in close to him, her voice steady. This is your turning point. Stop running and face it. We all have to take responsibility. The crowd quieted slightly. It felt as if the air had shifted, making room for something new, realignment of purpose. Will you stand with us, Donald? Clara asked, her voice softer now yet brimming with urgency. Will you fight for a future worth our memories? All eyes were on him. The collective spirit, the urgency, the raw desire for change was palpable. He looked at each one of them, at Clara, at Olivia. The weight of their expectations pressed heavily against him. I don't know if I can. The words faded, swallowed by the murmurs of the crowd yearning for hope, their bodies swaying with unspoken anticipation, and just as the silence enveloped them, a deep roar echoed, a sound of thunder, from deep within the earth, vibrating through the air around them. It shook Clara to her core. What was happening? Was this the earth calling for change, or a warning of something more profound? She felt it all, the hope bubbling beneath despair, the possibility of transformation teetering on a knife's edge. Stand up, Donald! Clara cried. For all of us. But the storm outside intensified, rattling the windows and making the ground tremble as the growling energy converged on their collective moment. What would this storm bring? Would it wash away the past or expose the heart of what they were fighting for? The storm roared louder, a surreal backdrop to the charged moment inside the hall. Clara felt the vibrations in her bones, as if every thud of thunder resonated with the struggles she had faced and those around her had faced too. She watched Donald slip deeper into his thoughts, his brow furrowing with each reverberation. Donald! Olivia's voice snapped, a mixture of desperation and determination. You can't hide from this. Not any longer. A flicker of understanding seemed to dance behind Donald's eyes. Briefly, he looked ready to step forward, but the tension held him captive. Clara could see the battle waging within him, like a marionette with tangled strings, his will to lead battling against the weight of his fear. What if I get it wrong? He stammered, almost a whisper, as if the sound of his voice would shatter the tension anew. Then we find a way together. Clara shouted, pouring every ounce of belief she had into those words. You're not alone, Donald. None of us are. We can do this, but we need you to step beside us. Right here, right now. The crowd held their breath, eyes fixed on him. Clara tried to convey the depth of her faith in him, and she wasn't just speaking for herself, she was voicing the hopes of everyone in that room, the dreams they all carried. Then, like the ashes of old decisions beginning to stir, Donald's expression shifted. The uncertainty cracked, revealing a glimmer of determination beneath. He lifted his chin, taking a deep breath. Okay, he murmured, steadying himself. Okay, I'll try. With those words, the air felt electric. The crowd erupted into cheers, the chants growing louder, drowning out the thunder outside. For a fleeting moment, hope felt tangible, like a warm light flickering in the dark, but just then, the storm seemed to reflect their emotions, swirling and rising around them. The sound outside morphed, shifting from a distant rumble to a piercing howl, as if the very world around them was in upheaval. Clara squinted through the glass doors, and her heart sank. The protests outside were no longer just voices of harmony, they now looked chaotic, people struggling against the wind. She turned back, looking at Olivia, panic flooding her veins. Is it getting worse? Clara asked, her voice carving a path through the noise. Olivia nodded grimly. They need our support out there too. This isn't just about us, it's about everyone fighting for change. Clara nodded, adrenaline surging through her. The truth settled like a weight in her chest. They had started something electric inside, but the world outside was fraying at the edges, becoming dangerously unpredictable. All right, then let us take this outside. We're stronger together. Clara yelled, the conviction in her voice ringing clear like a bell. The crowd roared in agreement, their courage mounting as they jostled towards the doors, their purpose resurrected. Each step toward the opening felt monumental. Clara could almost taste the raw energy of the moment, like standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. She cast a quick glance at Donald. His expression had transformed, no longer a man on the brink of retreat, but a leader, fortified by the faith of those around him. As they burst through the doors, Clara was met with a wave of raindrops, cold and unforgiving. She squinted against the wind, her spirit unbroken. The protesters outside stood resolute, their chants rising against the tempest, each voice building upon the last. Standing amidst the chaos, Clara raised her voice over the storm. Together. We fight together. But as she looked around, something strange caught her eye. A figure nearby, huddled alone, watching the crowd, and for a moment, she felt an unsettling chill run through her, as if the storm had also brought something else, something she couldn't quite place. What was it, and how would it challenge their fight for change? Clara took a cautious step toward the figure cloaked in shadows. The energy of the crowd pulsed around her, but something about this lone silhouette drew her in. Wasn't he that irony? The strength of many contrasted with the solitude of one. As she got closer, she could see that the figure was a woman, drenched from the rain, her face a mixture of weariness and wariness. "Excuse me," Clara called out, trying to adjust her voice above the gusts of the wind. "Are you all right?" The woman lifted her head slowly, revealing tired eyes encircled by dark circles. "Just watching," she spoke softly, her words almost drowned by the storm. "I don't know if I should join them." "Why not?" Clara shot back, her heart racing at the thought. "They need all the voices they can get right now." The woman hesitated. "I don't think they want to hear mine." "Not after everything." Clara frowned, feeling a twinge of pain in her chest. "Everyone's voice matters. Yours especially." "What has happened?" The woman shifted uncomfortably, averting her gaze briefly. 10 years, she whispered, almost to herself. 10 years of service, and they fired me. Beneath the roar of the storm, Clara felt a world of hurt in the woman's words. It struck her like a physical blow, leaving an emptiness in its wake. "That's not right," Clara said firmly. "You worked hard. They should respect that." The woman's lips curled slightly, but it wasn't a smile. "Respect? It's not about respect when it's about perception. They saw me for my job, not for who I am." Clara's heart sank. This woman, standing alone while the world around her flared with energy, had faced the personal storm of betrayal. "But you and everyone else were fighting for change. Don't let them silence you." The woman met Clara's gaze, a flicker of something igniting in her eyes. "Easier said than done," she murmured. "You don't know what it's like to feel discarded. To feel like your worth is dictated by others." "Maybe not," Clara admitted, feeling the weight of her own privilege. "But I do know that you aren't alone anymore. We're standing up for each other. Help us, please." Just then, Donald emerged from the crowd, having heard their exchange. Clara felt a rush of hope as he approached them. "What is going on?" His voice, calm amidst the chaos, steadied Clara's nerves. This woman needs a voice," Clara said, pointing to the woman beside her. "Her story matters, Donald. It's important." Donald looked at the woman, reading the lines of struggle etched on her face. "You've stood up for change, haven't you?" he asked, admiration pouring from every syllable. "I thought I had," the woman replied, anger flickering in her voice, "but they took it all away." The crowd paused, their chants fading as they turned to listen. Clara could feel the collective energy shift, curiosity and empathy brewing in the air. "Listen," Donald said, his voice like a beacon. "You fought your battles, and it's time for us all to stand together, to uplift every story, especially yours." As the storm around them howled, something shifted in the air. The woman's shoulders lifted a fraction, as if the weight she carried was finally being acknowledged. She looked around at the crowd, realization dawning on her that she wasn't alone at all. Together she murmured, the word escaping her lips as if rehearsed but never spoken. Yes. Together. Clara shouted, rallying the crowd's energy again. But just as the atmosphere surged with shared hope, Clara caught sight of something else lurking in the distance, a flicker of red, flashing like a warning. Her gut twisted with unease. What was coming? The storm wasn't finished with them yet. What could that light mean for their fight, and did it signal danger or opportunity? Clara's heart raced as she turned her gaze back to the distant flicker. The red light pulsed like some ominous heartbeat, slicing through the chaos of the storm. Anger and fear intertwined in her chest. What was happening? How could something so tangible overshadow the fragile victory they were building together? Do you see that? She asked the woman, grounding herself in the moment. What do you think it means? The woman squinted through the raindrops and responded, whatever it is, it doesn't feel right. Her voice was laced with dread. Just then, a loud bang erupted from the direction of the light, echoing like thunder through the crowd. The pulse of energy shifted from hopeful murmurs to sharp gasps, as the crowd instinctively stepped back. Clara felt the tension electrify the air. Stay together. Donald shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. We've come this far. Don't let fear divide us. Clara felt a flicker of courage as she moved closer to the woman. You're not discarded. You're here with us. We need everyone right now. Do you really believe that? The woman asked, her eyes darting back to the looming light. Yes, Clara replied, meeting her gaze. We're fighting for change. You can lead by sharing your truth. It matters. Your story matters. The woman hesitated, glancing at the sea of faces that were slowly beginning to turn back toward them. Curiosity piqued again. In those moments of uncertainty, Clara saw something shift, a burgeoning determination flickering to life. Before the woman could respond, the red light expanded, and out of the shadows emerged a group of figures clad in uniforms, their expressions concealed beneath helmets. The crowd absorbed a collective breath, the energy charged with panic and defiance. What do we do? Someone whispered nearby, shifting nervously. They can't intimidate us. Donald called out. We have a message, and we have each other. Suddenly, the woman spoke, her voice stronger now. You're right. We came to be heard, and that's what we need to do. Together. Clara felt a surge of hope flooding her veins. The woman took a step forward, leading the way. They can't silence us. As they aligned themselves, ready to confront this new challenge, the figures in uniform spread out, their arms crossing. It was a clear blockade. Clara could see the fear reflected in the eyes of those around, but in the woman's gaze, she saw something else, a defiance that had weathered years of isolation and heartache. Now is the time, the woman declared, glancing back at Clara and Donald. Let us show them who we are. Just then, as if sensing the collective will to march forward, the crowd united behind the woman. Clara felt the grounding energy surge through them. It was a movement, a wave rising together, but just as they prepared to advance, the figures in uniform shouted something incomprehensible, their threats lost in the roiling storm. The flickering red light began to spin, illuminating more faces, an ominous aura that seemed to swallow their courage. Clara's heart pounded. Were they leading their cause into a fight they weren't ready for? Or was it the moment they had been waiting for? What choice would they make now? The wind howled, pushing against them, but Clara's voice rose above it all. We're not backing down. This is our moment. But was it enough? As the world around them shifted, uncertainty loomed larger than any of their fears. The next step hung heavily in the air. What awaited them just across the divide? And would they find the strength within their shared voice to rise above it all? Facing the looming figures wasn't easy, but Clara knew this was the moment. She could feel the pulse of her community behind her, the weight of shared lives, shared struggles, and now, shared courage. Together. She called out again, her voice soaring over the roar of the wind and the protests. Together, we stand. The crowd began to chant in unison, a powerful wave of resilience building, drowning out the fear wrapping around them. Together. Together. Clara turned to the woman beside her, who was now bold in her new stance. "What's your name?" she asked, hoping to forge a connection, a bond that could fuel their fight. "Sarah," the woman replied, a small smile breaking through her initial apprehension. "And you're right. We can't let them silence us." With the crowd's energy amplified, Clara felt her heart swell. The officers faced them, shields raised, but the collective heart of the people pulsed with determination, daring to break through the barriers constructed to hold them back. "Let us show them our strength," Donald shouted, stepping forward beside Clara and Sarah. "We stand for every single person who ever felt dismissed." In that moment, the officers exchanged glances. For a brief flash, they seemed uncertain, as though they felt the weight of the gathered voices and stories accumulating against their impervious walls. Clara seized the moment, stepping closer, ready to turn fear into something powerful. "Listen!" she yelled. "We're not here to incite violence. We're here to demand respect for our lives and our stories. Hear us. We are not invisible. We are not disposable." The crowd echoed her sentiment, swelling her courage. Sarah raised her voice, aligning with Clara's. "You may wear uniforms, but behind those badges, there are human beings, too. You know this isn't right?" For every inch the officers stood firm, Clara and her community surged forward, their message laced with truth and passion. Then came the loud bang of a baton striking the ground, sending ripples of anxiety through the crowd. Clara felt the tension snap like a taut wire. "Don't. This isn't the way," she yelled, stepping back to keep the line between them safe. They needed to hold this space, this moment of reclamation. A drone word above, capturing the scene unfolding beneath it. Clara could only hope that beyond the immediate chaos, someone out there was witnessing what real courage looked like. As the storm continued to batter them with rain and wind, the officers seemed less intimidating against the background of voices calling for justice. Something shifted in the air, a crackle of energy like static before a summer storm. "Clara." Donald renewed his fervor. "This is what it means to stand together. Let us keep pushing." The collective roar of agreement surged through the group, and Clara felt a burst of hope. As they pressed forward, the chants intensified, swelling with determination. Together, they formed an unbreakable line of bodies and resolve. With each step forward, Clara found herself weaving through the fears and doubts of all around her. She sensed the solidarity growing. More than just anger, it was a plea for change, an unwavering demand that echoed not just on this rainy street, but in the very hearts of all present. Suddenly, the officers took a step back, uncertainty wrinkling their faces. Clara dared to catch Donald's eye. "This is working," she breathed, leaning closer. "Because we are united," he replied, a smile breaking through the heaviness on his face. He reached for Sarah's hand, anchoring her in this shared moment of truth. But then came a voice from the fray. "We're not separate. We are one," cried an elderly man from the back, his cane striking the pavement with authority. All attention shifted back to him, his weathered skin a testament to decades of struggle. "What we've suffered, we suffer together. No man is an island, we rise or fall as one." The crowd erupted, the sentiment reverberating in Clara's very bones. She felt the unity swell, charged with unquenchable hope. "You're right," Clara yelled into the crowd, feeling invincible. "Their fear won. Break us. Let us march forward, together, and they will see our strength." With a final chant rising like a song, they surged forward. As they advanced, the storm somehow seemed to soften, the rain shifting to a gentle mist. A shattering cry erupted from them, "Justice! Equality! We are here!" The officers were no longer barriers but part of the landscape as the walls began to crumble around them. Clara felt liberated, no longer a single voice lost in the noise of oppression. They were an orchestra of humanity, each note resonating with hope, each heartbeat unified in a melody of purpose. As Clara neared the officers, she saw their expressions change. Where there had once been hostility, now doubt crept in. The old man's presence carried forward the flames of change, flickering hope into uncertain hearts. "We will not fade into the background any longer. Each life matters." In that explosive moment, with the storm behind them and the dawn breaking through the clouds, Clara realized this wasn't just about her, it was about a revolution of voices. An awakening against invisibility. And together, they would seize it, fighting fiercely for every untold story and every silenced truth. And so, with hands intertwined, they marched forward, a living testament of strength and resilience, ready to carve a new path from the ashes of their past, a new dawn where love would always be louder than complacency. The fight for justice would not end today. It was just the beginning of a new chapter, written together as one. Before we go, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Don't forget to leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear your voices. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to spread this message far and wide. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Let us rise together.